Hi, everyone. All right. To me, the Masungi Georeserve is not just a geotourism project or a conservation project 45 kilometers east of Metro Manila. It's actually a family legacy. You will see me here in my genes following on the footsteps of my father, who was a civil engineer. He had won a public bidding to develop a sustainable project inside or in the vicinity of the Masungi Rock Formation in the province of Rizal. And that's when our story started. The vision of the project was to promote the optimum use of the land with minimum disruption of the existing ecosystem and the maximum preservation of the environment and enhancement of the land's natural attractions. These were the exact words in the supplemental joint venture agreement signed between Blue Star and the DNR back in 2002. And if you're curious about this photo, yes, it is I who took this photo in the early 2000s using my Pokemon camera. This is how we saw the landscape at that time. It was barren, degraded. The limestone formations were exposed to the elements, and there barely any wildlife. When you ask the locals what you could hear all throughout the day, they would say that they would hear the buzzing sounds of chainsaws. Fast forward to almost 3 decades, we now have a thriving secondary rainforest with almost a full forest cover. And this is really the result of hard work and commitment towards protecting a landscape that was slowly being threatened by urbanization and aggressive development. Today, the Georeserve hosts more than 800 species of plants and animals, such that instead of hearing the buzzing of chainsaws, you can now hear the humming of birds or the buzzing of the bees. We have over 100 birds. We have 30 species of bats. We have our very own microsnail called the Masungi microsnail. And we discover lost, new, and rare species every year together with our partner scientists and schools. In 2016, we decided to open this place that we loved to the public, opening select and small areas of the Georeserve for responsible visitation. Only one group can enter at a time, and all visits had to use an online reservation system to manage the capacity of the Georeserve. Thankfully, it was welcomed with very enthusiastic response from the Philippine population, and it instantly became a viral sensation and destination in the Philippines in 2016. Now, there were two reasons why we opened this to the public despite initial hesitation. One is that we needed more advocates for the area. We know that if a tree falls somewhere else, that people haven't really gone to or seen for themselves, no one would hear about it. But if a tree fell inside a place that people have encountered with their own eyes, then something will happen and people will know about the situation. So that's one, is increasing our community of advocates. Number two is really on the practical side of sustaining the conservation effort. For how many years, or for so many years, it's only been the private sector, the company that has financed all of the protection efforts. But it is never cheap to protect the 300-hectare area. And so we needed to find a way to sustainably employ rangers to sustainably manage the site without destroying or disrupting its natural ecology. The Masungi Reserve Discovery Trail became popular for its low impact and sustainable structures that mimic the nature and the biodiversity around it. Instead of building concrete viewing decks, we built interesting shapes and interesting colors inspired by nature. This is the sapot, which is a viewing deck that overlooks the largest lake in the Philippines. And it is a suspended rope or cable platform across or on top of limestone pinnacles. This is Tatay. It's one of the highest areas in the Discovery Trail, which is a total of 6 to 7 kilometers or 3 to 4 hours of hiking. And you have Nanay, which is 5 rock pillars connected by 5 rope bridges. We also have the Duyan, which is a very, very long hammock made of rope that lets you interact with the canopy up close. Sawa is a rapid exit from the exit of the Discovery Trail and back to the start, which we added later on to facilitate an easier access, easier exit for guests who are already tired by that time. All of these structures are made from light materials, temporary materials that can easily be removed when needed and when required by the natural environment. One important part of our whole story are our rangers. Today, we have up to 100 park rangers working on the reforestation and working on the georeserve. And one thing that we have worked on with them is really to make them have a stake and to really be part of this experience, such that even highlights on the trail are actually named over their own caretakers or over the people who founded or discovered that specific area or highlight. This is Yungib ni Ruben. It means the cave of Ruben. And Ruben is the name of one of our oldest park rangers who really knew about the place. He really studied the area to know where we can build the trails, which paths, nooks, and crannies is very viable for tourism, for safe but creative and enjoyable access to the karst or limestone ecosystem. Kuya Ruben was a former illegal logger. He was also previously a very shy person. He didn't like to talk. But now he has the pride of being the discoverer of this cave, and he now has pride of sharing, being able to share the story of Masungi from so many years ago to visitors from all over the world. Now, in 2017, our challenge became even bigger. We had an environment minister in the Philippines that was keen on developing and replicating the model that we have initiated. And so she asked us to restore 2,700 hectares more of degraded land around the Masungi Georeserve and inside critical watersheds that are sheltering Metro Manila or 20 million residents from climate change, flooding, and landslides. This is so important because we know that forests in the Philippines, which is one of the most impacted by the climate crisis across the world, forests are not just green spaces, but they are actually life support systems. Eco-based disaster risk mitigation is very important because this particular watershed only has 25% of forest cover despite being protected by law since 1904. So, as we like to say it, this watershed is already on a life support situation, and there really needs to be an intervention from civil society, from private sector, from different walks of life to be able to solve this very crucial life support problem. This was the area that we needed to reforest back in 2017. As you can see, it's it's all grasslands already, and it has been burned every year before we started working on that area. Today, it is now another area that is undergoing restoration. We have recovered 2,000 hectares for reforestation. We have rescued 4 pine groves that were the only standing trees when we started in the area. They are now germinating, or the pine cones are now germinating because they feel safe enough to be able to grow. We have established 15 monitoring stations or ranger stations across this new site. And we have 17 kilometers of trails, including those that were already existing and old or disturbed, maintained for monitoring and other restoration purposes. This wouldn't have been possible without the support of many different sectors in the Philippines, including champions within and outside of government, the private sector, academe, and the indigenous people. Now, this is a very important, very meaningful in the context of the Philippines being one of the most dangerous countries in the world for environment defenders. We are number one in Asia, and in the globe, we are number three to four cumulatively. And so you can see that in spite of having our tourism component, we also have our advocacy component, which is not something that we are willing as an organization to forgo for the sake of profits. So what we do is we do engage in campaigns, we do engage in stories about our forest and what's happening in the forest. And sometimes we get pushed back because of that. But at the end of the day, we know our mission, and our mission is really to be able to preserve the limestone formation for decades to come. And that's what guides us whenever we have a difficult decision to make. So that is my journey from being just a child following my dad to now being one of the defenders of the Masungi landscape. And we continue to do so because as much as it is difficult, it is also very meaningful. And I hope that everyone here is doing something who is doing something meaningful in their own localities, continues to do so despite being told that it's unreasonable. I hope that we recognize the importance of continuing the work that we do, our role in uplifting our society and in providing an example to the world of what is possible. Thank you for listening, and I hope you have a good day.